Milan, this is a short practice test, and we are dealing with Love Your, which is a public company that sells tablets. Love Your has 1.2 million authorized shares as stated in its memorandum of incorporation. Its financial year runs from the 1st of June to the 31st of May. So it basically, its business is in gadgets. Now they gave us the balance on the 31st of May 2022. Note that the 31st of May 2022 is the end of the financial year. Okay, so it can be given to you as 1 June 2022, which is the beginning of the next financial year. But the 31st of May is the end of the current financial year. And your ordinary share capital is 3,357,500, meaning that this is also the balance at the end of the year, unless the transactions or information or additional information tells you otherwise. Now let us read transactions. Or before I read transactions, I can actually record what I have read already. I will start with my authorized, and my authorized shares will be 1.2 million. And then I'll get to issued. But I will have a problem when it comes to issued because they said on the 31st of May 2021, which is the beginning of the financial year, like that the end of the financial year is the 31st of May 2022, meaning that the beginning was the 1st of June 2021. Okay. If I was to draw this, this is what I will have as my financial year. So I will have, this is the financial year. Here I'll have the 1st of June 2021. Here I have the 31st of May 2022. Okay, so they're telling me that, remember, after the 31st of May 2022, we have June. So this is what the average price was on the 1st of June. So how do we record that? They're not giving us how many shares were issued on that day, so I'll just put that as a question mark. I am given the share price, however, on the 1st of June 2021, which is 5 Rand. But again, they didn't give me share capital, so there's nothing I can do. Nothing at all. Hope I'll be able to find those two question marks. Let's read further. It says that on the 1st of September 2021, the company issued a further 150,000 ordinary shares at 7 Rand 50 per share. How do we record that? I will simply have 150,000 additional shares issued at 7 Rand 50. I don't know why I wrote cents there. It's supposed to be 7 Rand 50. When you take 150 and you multiply it by 7 Rand 50, it'll give you 1,125,000. These are the number of shares that were issued on the 1st of September 2021. And we received a share capital amount worth 1,125,000. Going to the next transaction, it says that on the 28th of February 2022, the company repurchased shares at a loss of 207,500. These shares were bought back at 83 cents above the weighted average price. The average price per share on the 28th of February 2022 was 5 Rand 17. Now put in what matters, what needs to go to ordinary share capital. First of all, we don't have the number of shares bought back, so we will start with a question mark. And then they said additional shares. These shares were repurchased at an average price of 5 Rand 17. So there's no point in calculating the weighted average price per share because it has already been calculated for you. But because we don't know how many shares we bought back, this will simply give us, it means that the cost of shares, our share capital will decrease with a question mark because we don't have that. Okay, that's the only thing I can get from that information, but I'll come back to it. Moving right along, and then it says that on the 31st of March 2022, directors issued 75,000 shares at 6.50. So that is easy. We'll simply have 75,000 shares that were issued at 6 rand 50 cents, 6 rand 50, which is 650 cents. And that will give us a share capital of 487,500. Okay, this is all I have from this information. So let's check how many marks do we have thus far. I've got this mark here. I've got that mark. I've got that mark. I've got that mark. I've got this mark. I've got that mark. I've got this mark. I've got that mark. Okay, that's what I've got so far. So if this question is out of, let's say 20, oh, I also have this mark here. Okay, let's say this question was out of 20, then how many marks do I have? It's 1, 2, oh, I forgot this one as well. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm close to getting 50% on this question. Okay, by just working with what I've got. You need to understand, guys, what comes in here, especially when it comes to a repurchase of shares, it's always the average price per share. It's always the average price per share. In this case, it was given to us. There was no need for calculating it. Okay, now, nothing here can give me more information except for this point here. Oh, I just need to emphasize this as well, where they said for these shares that were repurchased, which gave us a share capital of this much. This amount is not in there. Why is it not in there? It's because they said that entry was not recorded. That entry was not recorded. So it is not in that 3,357,500. The rest, they just kept quiet. And if they keep quiet, you must just know that it has been recorded unless they tell you otherwise. Okay, so the buyback of shares and everything else has been taken into account in that amount, except for the last transaction, which relates to new shares being issued. Okay, I'm gonna move on. And then they say to you, I'm just gonna go back to this point here. Sorry for this, I'm just gonna go back to this point here. On the 28th of February. Let me just read that again, because now I have 9 marks. Okay, I have 9 marks. Since I've got 9 marks, I don't know why this one keeps on erasing itself. Okay, I'll just write it here. Since I've got 9 marks, I can now worry about things. Basically, I just need 1 more mark so that I can pass. Okay. And I can't find any information anywhere else except for that, because there are a couple of things that I didn't take into account. The fact that they said from the buyback, we made a loss of 207,500. Note that 207,500, it's a loss, people. So it's a rand value. It is not the number of shares. It is a loss that we have incurred. Question is, how do we calculate a loss from the buyback? That's why I said it's very, very important for you to have done classwork 1 up to classwork 4, so that by the time you get here, you understand how to calculate the loss. Where does the loss go to? The loss goes nowhere to ordinary share capital. It doesn't go to this note at all. Okay, just realize that is supposed to be. Okay, now how do we calculate a loss in most cases when we have incurred a loss from the buyback? And remember, we incur a loss from the buyback if we bought back the shares at a price higher than the average price per share. In this case, our average price per share was 5.17 rand. Since our average price per share is equals to 5 rand 17, but we bought back these shares at 83 cents above. So meaning that if I was to take this 5 rand, I will get my buyback price, okay? What will be my buyback price? It will be my average price per share of 5 rand 17 plus 83 cents. When you put it in rands, it'll give you 0.83. So basically my buyback price was 6 rand. So I bought these shares for 6 rand in essence, meaning that I made a loss of 83 cents. Okay, I made a loss of 83 cents. I paid 83 cents more than the average price. And that excess is what we call a loss. Now, to calculate a rand value from the loss, you will simply take the number of shares that were bought back and multiply it by the difference between the buyback price and average price per share. Okay, so basically for me to calculate a loss, I will simply have, if I had the number of shares bought back here, I was gonna take those number of shares, multiply them by 83 cents, and that will give me my loss. So my loss will have been number of shares multiplied by 83 cents. Obviously 83 cents, if it's given in cents, you just divide that by 100, which is 83 divided by 100. In essence, my loss, they gave it to you. My loss in rand value is 207,500. How did I get that 207,500? I must have taken the number of shares bought back and I multiplied them by the excess, the amount that exceeds the average price per share. The amount that exceeds, which is the difference between the buyback price and average price per share. That excess, when you take it and multiply it with the number of shares bought back, it'll give you a loss. But here we didn't have the number of shares bought back, but we were given the actual loss. So for you to get the number of shares bought back, you have to divide both sides by 0.83. When you divide both sides by 0.83, it'll now give you the number of shares bought back. Now the number of shares bought back will be 250,000 shares. So I will simply have 250,000 shares. Those are the number of shares that were bought back. We didn't have the number of shares that were bought back. And for you to understand this, you needed to understand how to calculate a loss from the buyback. And you should have done up to classwork 4. I think it's on classwork 3 and classwork 4. So that's where you more sort of learned about how to calculate a loss from the buyback. Here I gave you the loss. I didn't give you the number of shares that were bought back. So it was your duty to calculate the number of shares that were bought back. Now I just need to emphasize this. A loss or profit due to the buyback. I'm going to do it later on. Loss or profit due to buyback. We will simply take number of shares bought back and then you multiply that by buyback price minus average price per share. Okay, by now you should know this because we normally did it in a table form and I will do the table form later on. Okay, so here guys, I did not have the number of shares that were bought back, but I was given the loss. And the loss in this case was that 207,500. This one, I did not have it. I didn't have this one here. When it comes to the difference between the buyback price and average price per share, it was given to you because they told you that it was this 83 cents here. So all I did was just to work backwards to calculate the number of shares that I bought back. Okay. Okay. Now that this is out of the way, I hope you guys understood how I calculated those number of shares that we bought back. Okay, moving right along. Now that I have the number of shares that we bought back and I've got the average price, it means that I can find the amount at which your share capital decreased by simply taking 250 multiplied by 5.17. So it will give me the actual cost that your share capital needs to decrease by. Now, how many marks do we have so far? So it will be, because this was quite challenging. So it will be 1, 2, and let me see. I'll simply give you this here. Okay. I'll just put this here and then not give you a mark there. All right. So this is what I will give you. And then for calculating this here, you'll get another mark. Okay. This other mark that I'm trying to give you, I'll just give 2 here because it gets released. It relates to the 75,000. That should be a mark as well, but obviously it erases itself. I don't know why. So I'll just leave it like that. Okay. Now I've got everything. I'm left with this question mark here and that question mark. How do I solve those 2 questions? Because without solving those 2 question marks, I can't get any value that comes here. I can't get a value that goes there as well. So I need to get those 2 question marks. This one here that I'm going to erase now, it's impossible to find unless I've got this. That one, it's quite easy to find because if I take that question mark, which is your share capital at the beginning of the year, right? When you take your share capital at the beginning of the year and you add it with the share capital from the new issue of shares. So it is this share capital that I'm highlighting in green now, plus this share capital, which is 1,125,000, minus the reduction of share capital from the buyback. It should give me this amount here. Because everything was recorded except for the last transaction. So it should give me this amount here. So this plus this plus, well, in this case, it's minus, the buyback is minus this should give me my share capital at the end of the year. Remember, that share capital I did highlight earlier on, this 487,500 was not recorded, so it's not in there. Okay. Now, if I solve for this question mark here, obviously I'm going to take this to the other side. So this will go to the other side. When it goes to the other side, it's going to be positive, and this will go to the other side. When it goes to the other side, it's going to be negative. So when you take this 3,357,500 and you add it with this 1,292,500 and you minus 1,125,000, it'll give you your share capital at the beginning of the financial year. And once you have the share capital at the beginning of the financial year, you just take that share capital, you divide it by the average price per share, and then it will give you the number of shares that were issued at the beginning of the year. Now, when you take 705, add it with 150,000 minus 250,000 plus 75,000, it will give you 680,000. That will be shares in issue at the end of the year. For your share capital, when you take this 3,525,000 plus 1,125,000 minus 1,292,500 plus this 487,500, it will now give you the correct value of your ordinary share capital at the end of the year, which is 3,845,000. Okay, this will be level 5, level 6 type of question, and these are questions that I really like. Okay, because they test whether you understand what you're doing. You are not just memorizing. Okay, if you didn't understand, please rewind this, replay it a couple of times, and if you still don't understand, please go back to classwork 3 and classwork 4, even classwork 1, and start from classwork 1 and try to understand what is going on there. And once you grasp the concept, you can come to this question here. Okay, this is the last number. This is the furthest I can go when it comes to setting questions, and I definitely liked this. Yeah, I haven't seen it anywhere. I just came up with it, and it was such a beautiful question. Okay, let us look at the table now. In the table, we know this is what I was talking about. Once you understand this table, and then everything will be a breeze. But I also showed you that it doesn't matter how difficult the question is. You can still get like 49, 48% from that question by just focusing on easy maths. And guys, stick to the basics. Stick to what you have learned. Okay. Now, my share capital, we know that my average price per share, which is the average price that was given to you, it was 517. The number of shares bought back, we had to calculate this, which is 250. So 250 multiplied by average price per share, it will give you the value of your buyback, which is in this case, meaning that your share capital will decrease by 1,292,500. Now, where do I get this value here? Oh, obviously, another account that will be affected will be bank. Normally, when you take your bank, it will be your buyback price. In this case, my buyback price was this 517. You add it with that 83 cents. It will give you a buyback price of 6 rand. But remember, I didn't have this 250. I didn't have it. So to even calculate the amount of the buyback, which is at 1.5 million, I had to, this is basically what I did. I started from here. I started from retained income. I had a loss. And how much was my loss? My loss was, from the buyback, it was 207,500, right? And normally you will take, I also had this value here, which was 83 cents. I had this value of 83 cents. And normally to get the loss, I will take 83 cents multiplied by the number of shares bought back. But in this case, I wasn't given the number of shares bought back. I was given the actual loss that I'm trying to calculate. So instead of multiplying by the number of shares bought back, I took the actual loss and I divided it by 83 cents. And then it gave me this 250. Remember, when you take 250 and you multiply it by 83 cents, it was supposed to give me this 107,500. In this case, I just worked backward studies. Okay, and then it gave me a loss. And how much is my loss here? My loss will be that 207,500. okay, which is a loss due to buyback, it will reduce your retained income note. All right. So basically, because I teach maths and accounting, I combine both maths and accounting because that is very, very important. In accounting, your math must be on point. And from grade 8 to 12, you just need to know grade 8 and 9 maths on how to work backwards, how to work with percentages. And that is what I was simply testing here. All right. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Please like and subscribe and ask questions if you have any.